Hey folks, thanks for stopping by the farm. Well, if you read the title, what I want to show you today is how to make a comfrey tea or extract that is specific for this time of year. Now, this is mid-June here in Zone 6, Southeast Connecticut, and we've got things flowering. We've got things blooming. We've got tomatoes starting. Right now, we need a fertilizer that is not high in nitrogen, but instead is high in potassium and phosphorus. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. If you've ever made a comfrey tea or a compost tea or a worm tea, it's really not that different. You know, a vessel that holds water, you need your comfrey, you need a little bit of compost. I'm going to show you how I do this. And I think if you try this, you're going to find that your flowers and your fruiting and the overall health of your plant is a whole lot better. Follow along. Let me show you what I'm going to do. All right, the first thing we're going to need is the star of the show, comfrey. But specifically, we want the flowers. Now, why do we want the flowers? Because flowers take phosphorus and the overall health of the plant takes potassium. And when this plant decided, okay, it's time to flower, it started going into the ground and working the science that our soil does to give this plant the phosphorus and the potassium that it needed. So we're going to collect up a bunch of these. Yes, we're going to use the leaves too, certainly. But right now, these flowers are pretty well done. You know, the bees have had their time with them. Now it's time to do some things for our flowering plants. So we're just going to chop these up, collect up a good bunch, and we'll move on to the next step. Beautiful. Okay, the next ingredient that we need is a bucket or a vessel that holds water. Now, I really recommend, I'm hoping this shows up well, food grade, heavy duty, BPA free, because your concoction here, your compost, your teas are going to be sitting in there for a while. So you don't want any kind of junk leaching out into it and ruining your hard work and all that comfort that you just cut down. So let's go get some water. I'm fortunate in that I've got a brook on my property, and I like to use rainwater or my brook water because, you know, it's got all the stuff in it. It's got all the good stuff. So let's go down to the brook and get some water. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Well, my brook is running a little low, amazingly, for this time of year. Yeah, it's running real low. I'm wondering if a beaver is upstream and has dammed it up. But anyway, let's go ahead. Now, we don't need a whole lot of water. What we're going to do, we're going to lose our bucket if we aren't careful. We're just going to get a good amount. Get some sand in there, get some silt in there, get some frog skin stuff that's been swimming around in here. And we're going to bring this back. I'll show you what we're going to do next. So we're going to add a little bit more water. And we're going to add water from my well. And then I'm going to show you a very important part of this whole process. Okay, you might be wondering, what could be so much more important? Well, right now, I'm going to take water from my hose that is pumped through my well, which is all good and natural water, and we're going to add it to this bucket. Okay, what's the big deal about that, Jim? Well, The water in that brook was cold, very cold. This water, as you can see, it's out in the sun, and this water is probably a little bit warmer. And that's not the main thing. The main thing is we want this water to be the ambient temperature of the air. And why do we want that? Because when we add the compost, we're going to add a handful of compost to this to get the bacteria levels and all that going real well. When we add that, we don't want to kill those poor little bacteria by freezing them in cold, 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 cold water. So we're going to get them to the same temperature basically as the compost that we're going to put in here. So while this bucket is filling up, because it is on a drip hose, so it's going to take it a while. My honeybees getting a drink. We're going to go ahead and chop up some compost. Okay, we're not going to be chopping up compost. We're going to be chopping up the comfrey. Folks, be very, very careful. If I happen to cut my hand off, you'll be the first to see it. It's terrible, isn't it? All we want to do is just break this up. We're not looking for anything gourmet. We just want to break it up so that it kind of blends a little bit better with the water. Because all the water is really going to do is help this to break down and release all of the nutrients that we want right now. And I mean, I've done this before, just throwing it in whole, and honestly, it works just as well. Because you're going to leave this in that bucket for, I recommend at least 2 weeks. If you really don't want it to stink when you open it, wait about a month or two. And then it won't smell quite as bad. And it'll have time to break everything down real well and be more concentrated. Because you can, and we will, mix this with plain water to make it go a little bit further. Do you have to? No. You can actually just take this and pour it straight out of the bucket, pour it straight into your garden, and you're not going to hurt anything. So we're going to let this sit here for a while we let our water warm up. Our water's out here in the hot, hot, hot sun. I'm guessing this is going to be about enough. What we want to do is put about, I usually try for like a half and half mixture, half and half of the comfrey or whatever greens that I'm using, and half water. I found if you put too much of this in, it makes it really kind of hard to strain out at the end. And we'll talk about the straining, because I just happen to have a bucket that's ready to go. And we're going to go ahead and do that. And if you find you've cut up a little bit more comfrey than what you need, let me show you another neat trick. Just take and chop and drop it. This stuff breaks down so quickly that within a couple of days you won't even see it. We got a zucchini. That's a good thing. Now, besides the nutrient value this comfrey is going to give this plant, it's also shading it out from weeds and holding the moisture in. And we've got some serious heat coming up, so you take a little extra there, buddy. Okay, just a little extra tip there. Comfrey's great for using as a mulch, and it adds nutrients. Well, folks, it's hot, but I figured while I was out here, I wanted to show you one other little thing to do with your comfrey leaves, and in particular with your comfrey flowers. You know, I can't say, I'm not an agronomist, I'm not a botanist, but I am an optimist. And I know a little bit enough about plants to say, if it took phosphorus to grow these things, there's probably phosphorus in there. So that's what I'm working on with this particular thing. Now, speaking of this particular thing, one other thing you can do besides making your comfrey tea, this is my southwestern side of the garden. And I just take them, and a lot of folks like to call it a chop and drop. Well, there's a whole lot less chopping if you just lay them down to try to cover up a little bit of that sunlight that's hitting these plants. Cool the soil a little bit, and as they break down, well, there's my phosphorus, or hopefully. There's nutrients. Everybody knows what Comfrey does. And I like knowing their feet are a little cooler in this hot summer sun. All right, let's get back on with the video. All right, let's take a look at this. Now this bucket here has been out here for about a month. Yeah, a month. This is also a food grade bucket, even though it's gray instead of the white. There was once dill pickles in here, and believe it or not, after having this in it, it doesn't smell like dill pickles anymore. Now, I've only stirred this one time. Sometimes when you do this, depending on the temperatures and the ingredients that are in there, you'll actually get a foam. This one doesn't have a foam, but it's got the right smell. It doesn't smell bad, it doesn't smell good. And one of the things that I'm going to do, just for on camera, is I'm going to wear gloves. I went out and bought these just for this video. And the reason why is because when you get this on your hands, it's going to be there for a while. And I have dinner plans tonight out of the house, and plain and simple, I don't want everybody smelling Comfrey extract. So what we're going to do, we're going to take that bucket, we're going to put a filter. You can get these at your big box home improvement stores. Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards. I don't know what that is, but I hear people talk about Menards. I guess it's a lot like Lowe's. Now there's a brick in here. And fortunately, my glove is long enough, not a brick, a rock, to reach it without overflowing. So we're going to take that out. And what we're going to do is we're going to strain out all of this good stuff. Now that's not going to go to waste. It's going to go in the compost bin right behind me. But for what we want right now, we want to just get the liquid out. And try not to splash too much. Now this is complete, just the way that it is. All of this is broken down pretty well. Now if I'd have left this longer, it would have broken down to where about the only thing you'd really see is like the stems. And all this green part would be gone. But for my purposes right now, I want that phosphorus and that potassium and, you know, some of the nitrogen that's going to come out from it as well. But I want that. So we will take this out and squeeze out all of that goodness, or as much as we can. Now from this one bucket, that's probably 3/4 of the way filled, I'm going to go ahead and dilute this probably 2 to 1. So I'm going to put 2 buckets, 2 5-gallon buckets of water, and mix it with this one. And we're going to use this as a soil drench on the flowering plants. And again, we're doing that for the potassium and for the phosphorus. The things that help that NPK, phosphorus and potassium, that help your plants produce flowers and to grow strong, produce fruit, healthy fruit. That's what we're going to do. Now, let's get back and I'll show you the rest of how we're going to go ahead and make this right here. After I get these gloves off. And try not to touch it with my other hand. Come off. All right, is this a blooper? Can I call this a blooper? I think I actually did it without getting too much on me. You know what? I'm going to get it on me no matter what. So anyway, okay, let's go make some comfrey tea. And that's what it looks like when it goes into the compost bin. All right, so we've got our comfrey that's been chopped up. It's good to go. We've got our water, which is a combination of the brook water and our tap water. Well, one other thing, folks, if you don't have brook water and you don't have well water and you've got, city water, you probably heard this before, you can go ahead and just put it in your bucket, let it sit out for overnight, 24 hours to be on the safe side. That chlorine and all that stuff will evaporate off. So what we're going to do, plain and simple, pop this inside. Now, a lot of folks you'll see in these videos, and I've done it too, is you put your greens in first and then add your water. The way I look at it, if I have too much greens, if I have too much comfrey and I put it in here and I squish it all down and the water pours out, I know I've got the right amount. The flowers of this comfrey right now are what's really going to give us all the nutrients that we need. We want that phosphorus. We want that potassium, and all of that is inside of what we're putting inside of here. Now, I could add more water to this, and I think I will. So I'll be right back. Now, my hands are scientifically calibrated temperature-wise. This is not cold, not hot. It's nice and warm. Now, this I just got from the hose, and it's been in the sun, so there's not a great deal of difference in the temperature of this, so I don't think I'm going to be killing any bacteria. But speaking of bacteria and biology, one of the other things we're going to add is a little bit of compost. If you don't have this, it's not a big deal, but I add it because it's going to add some microbial life to the mixture here, to the soup, and kind of kickstart everything a little bit quicker. Now, I did add a lot of green to this. I probably didn't need to add that much, but you know what? It'll be just fine. When this breaks down, I probably added the same amount to that one that I just showed you. When it breaks down, all that's going to be left is the water and the soup. Put your rock in, kind of weigh it down. Otherwise, you get a lot of stuff floating on the top, like these right here, and that's fine. Same thing's going to happen. But I put the rock in there. I'm hoping some of those vital nutrients from that rock get in there as well. And then we're going to put a top on it. Now, you can put it on and put it completely on. I usually just take it, pop it so that it will get air. That way any gases that form have a place to go out from. I think sometimes when you see that foam, it's because the top was on too tight. The gases had nowhere to go. The other reason for the top is this is going to be sitting outside. Do not put this in your house. It smells. But it's going to be sitting outside, and I don't want any rain that comes to overflow it and dilute it. But okay, that's how we are going to make this tea. It's really not a tea, it's more of an extract because we're letting everything decompose inside of this water. The nutrients are coming out. What happens is the nutrients are water soluble and soluble, and they are going to go into the water so that when we do the drenching of the roots on the plants that are flowering, all that nutrition is going to be there for the plants. Now, the reason why I made this video today, other than the fact that it's a beautiful day and it's the first really nice day we've had in a long time, is it's going to rain tonight. So when I put this on, I'll probably put a little bit of compost down first, drench the roots with this. Don't need a lot. That rain's going to help it to saturate the soil and get down to the roots. All right, let me see if I can show you that. Okay, so I've got almost a half a bucket of water in here. And we're going to put our Comfrey concoction extract into there, and that's going to dilute it enough to where I don't feel like I'm giving too much at any one time. I also only want to fill this up enough to where I can carry it and splash it onto the plants without splashing it all over myself. So we're going to go about 3/4 of the way up. And let's go put this on some plants. All we're going to do, give them a little splash. Now I've got little divots, I don't know what you call it, just a place to hold the water when you put it on, so it doesn't all drain off the sides. But that's it. Now, you know, a lot of folks might say, oh, let me get my marigold too. A lot of folks might say that's a whole lot of work. It is. It is work. But the way I look at it, it's all natural. I've done it long enough to where I know it works great on these plants. These are just getting ready to flower. Some of them even have a flower. But this is going to give these plants the nutrients that they need. Not the nitrogen to grow more leaves, but the nutrients they need to grow flowers and fruit. All right, I hope you try this. I hope you got something out of it. If you have, comment down on the bottom. Tell me how you do it. Tell me what you think might work better with the way that I'm doing it. I'd be glad to hear it. And hey, thanks for stopping by the farm. We'll talk to you later.